Now to start claybarring your car, you're going to want some of this NO Rinse Wash and Shine. This you put in with a mix of some water in a bottle. And on the back of this, I think it says the amount you're supposed to put into the water. Add 1 ounce to 2 gallons of water. So you don't need too much of that. You might want some microfiber towels to dry off the area you claybarred after you claybarred it. And then you're going to want clay bars, of course. And for clay bars, you're not going to need too much. Like, last time I claybarred, sorry, dropping things. Last time I claybarred my car, I only used like 1 or maybe, it was like maybe 2, 1.5. I didn't do every surface on my car. And so I'm just going to make sure everything's claybarred and smooth so I can polish it and get some of those scratches out of my paint. Now to start off, I'm going to have my clay bar right here. I'm not grabbing the whole thing, I'm grabbing part of one. And you're going to want to gently just knead it together and make sure it's fairly flat. So you're going to stretch it out a little bit. Just so you can use this a bit more instead of having it in a small little clump. So that's pretty kneaded and it's a lot bigger. So next you're going to want to spray your surface, and you're going to want to spray your clay bar a little bit. Maybe let both sides get a little bit of it so it doesn't stick to your hand. And then you're going to want to go over the surface until it's completely smooth and there's no resistance. Now, since I've done this to my car before, there's going to be less resistance for me, so I'm moving rather quickly. So I'm actually going to spray this whole surface around here so that as I'm moving I can just keep going. Now there are some areas where I do get stuck still because it's not super completely polished and stuff. And if you see, there's not much getting on my clay bar because I've done this before. But now if you're doing this on an older car, you're going to get a lot more surface dirt on your clay bar that's been stuck in the paint and stuff. I'm going to get my microfiber towel and go over and dry off the surfaces I've already gone over with the clay bar. I'm going to roll it over since this side's a little bit wet now. Very slowly and steadily. Okay, now that's mostly dry. I'm going to dry this spot off a little bit more. There. Still a little streaky, and that's gonna happen after you dry this stuff off. It's gonna leave a little bit of marks at times, and that's completely fine. The thing you don't want to happen is you don't want them to stay there all the time. Like, you don't want the marks being there like a lot. So you're going to want to do your best effort to keep the trunk from having marks and stuff. But as you can probably, I'm not sure if you can hear that, but you can hear it go over some of the dirt and pick it up. You're just going to want to move this in light circle motions until the surface is clean. So now I'm gonna spray off this back panel. You can also spray your tail lights and headlights. Spray your Claybar again. It's just the same process. Alright, for the polishing job, next what you're going to want is some polishing compound. Not sure if you can see that because the sunlight is odd today. And then, depending on your paint, you might want an ultra cut compound. And this, I'm not sure if I'm going to be using this because my paint's in pretty good shape. There are some scratches, but the polishing compound should be able to get those scratches out. Next, you're going to want one of these spinny polishers things. You can pick these up at Harbor Freight or any little... You can pick it up at Home Depot. I'm not sure about O'Reilly or AutoZone, but I know you don't need this if you don't want to spend like $60, $70. I think they're under that too. So if you don't want to spend much money, you can always use one of these hand pads where you slide your hand in and you polish this way. But this hand pad is going to be a lot more hard and take a lot more time to use. But if you're using this, you're going to want a bucket, because what you're going to do is you're going to put everything on top of the pad, and then if you spin it on before you put it on the paint, it's going to go everywhere. So this is why you're going to want the bucket, because if you do make that mistake, you can put it right in the bucket and wipe some of it off and spin it around while it's in the bucket so it can get a little bit off. And then in a second I'm going to be masking this off, masking around the trunk so I know what I'm polishing. So I've got this whole area masked off. Tape's a little wrinkly, but it doesn't matter as long as it's masking it off. It's just to tell me where to stop for when I'm polishing. I should probably take the tape off before I start polishing. And then, as you can probably see, there's a towel on my back window, and I just kind of stuck it through the window. And then basically, that's just going to cover the window from excess polishing dust that gets everywhere. Now to start off, you want to get your polisher. You're going to want to make a compass type pattern look on top. That should be good. I'm going to move this back just a tad so I don't keep you guys covered in polish. Now before you turn this on, lift the cord. Before you turn it on, you're going to want to just rub it over a little bit, just so the polish is in. that I've polished that surface, I can go actually probably use the pad. You probably want to do this with a microfiber towel. Just gonna test it out on this waxing pad. So the pad works pretty well too. It's gonna be a little squeaky. You need to push hard to make sure you get the polishing stuff out. And remember, the more pressure is not always the better. You just want to make sure you're doing it steadily, pushing enough pressure to get it out. Alright guys, so looks pretty good. This side there's still a little bit of smudges. Let me just get some of this dust off. Alright, so it looks pretty good. The hood looks a lot better than it ever has. Windshield's a little dirty, but and this side's pretty shiny too. I'm gonna wax this tomorrow when I can and see if I can get some of those scratches out.